Story 1. The Phantom's Obsession. In the fog-draped streets of Seattle's Capitol Hill, where neon signs flickered like ghosts in the mist, Jade Harper and Steve Larson had built a fragile Eden. Their third-floor apartment, a sanctuary of exposed brick and mismatched furniture, was a testament to their shared dreams. Jade, a 27-year-old graphic designer with a passion for sketching Seattle's rain-soaked skyline, and Steve, a 28-year-old barista with culinary ambitions, planned to open a cafe that would blend art and flavor. Their love, forged in the chaotic halls of their college dorms, was a beacon against the city's gray melancholy. But in the autumn of 2024, a sinister presence slithered into their lives, threatening to unravel everything they held dear. It began with a single gift basket, left on their doorstep under the cover of a stormy night. Inside were treasures that seemed plucked from Jade's soul: a silver necklace with a crescent moon pendant, a bottle of her beloved lavender perfume, and a leather-bound sketchbook embossed with her initials. Jade, initially delighted, assumed it was a gesture from her sister or a friend. But the baskets kept coming, weekly, then daily, each more opulent, each accompanied by a photograph that turned her blood to ice. The images captured Jade in moments she thought private: laughing with her mother at Pike Place Market, walking her golden retriever Luna in Volunteer Park, or sharing a quiet moment with Steve on their balcony. The photos were candid, intimate, and chillingly precise, as if taken by someone who was always there, just out of sight. Jade's unease blossomed into dread. She stopped sketching, her once vibrant creativity suffocated by paranoia. She avoided her favorite cafes, her eyes scanning crowds for unseen watchers. Steve, ever her anchor, installed a state-of-the-art security system, its cameras guarding every corner of their building. He spent nights reviewing footage, his face etched with exhaustion. But the stranger was a phantom, leaving no trace beyond the gifts. Their home, once a haven, became a prison, their laughter replaced by whispered fears. One evening, after a basket arrived containing a silk gown, diamond earrings, and a photo of Jade reading in a bookstore, she collapsed into Steve's arms, sobbing. "Who's doing this?" she whispered, clutching the image. Steve's jaw clenched, his voice low with fury. "This isn't just harassment. This is an obsession." Determined to fight back, he contacted Marianne Holt, a private investigator with a reputation for unraveling the darkest mysteries. Marianne, a grizzled ex-cop with sharp eyes and a cigarette habit, was intrigued by the stalker's meticulousness. She analyzed the photos, noting their professional quality and precise timestamps, suggesting a calculated surveillance operation. As Marianne dug deeper, Jade's fear intensified. A new gift arrived, a velvet box containing a locket with a photo of her and Steve, taken during a private weekend at a lakeside cabin 6 months earlier. The violation was suffocating, as if the stalker had been there, breathing the same air. Jade began therapy, her sessions with Dr. Elena Ruiz, a lifeline against the encroaching panic. Dr. Ruiz, a trauma specialist, helped Jade navigate her fear, but the gifts kept coming, each one a taunt. Steve, torn between protecting Jade and his own growing rage, enrolled in self-defense classes, his trust in the world eroding. Marianne's investigation uncovered a lead. The gifts were purchased from an exclusive boutique in Belltown, where cash transactions required no ID. She interviewed the staff, learning of a regular customer, a tall man with a coiled snake tattoo on his wrist, who paid in crisp $100 bills. Meanwhile, Jade's brother Ethan, a tech-savvy programmer, joined the effort, hacking into local surveillance feeds to track the stalker's movements. Ethan's search revealed a pattern. The man appeared near Jade's haunts, always hooded, always vanishing into crowds. One stormy night, as Jade soaked in a bath, trying to drown her anxiety in soft jazz, her phone pinged. A text from an unknown number read, "I'm outside, Jade. The stars are beautiful tonight." Her scream shattered the quiet, and Steve burst in, snatching her phone. He pulled up the security feed and froze. A tall figure in a black mask stood on their doorstep, his silhouette stark against the flickering streetlights. For 15 agonizing minutes, he lingered, his head tilted as if listening, before slipping into the woods behind their building. Marianne installed hidden cameras in the woods, hoping to catch the stalker's retreat. The footage captured a fleeting glimpse of the man, his snake tattoo visible under a sleeve. Marianne cross-referenced it with criminal databases, identifying Victor Kane, a parolee recently released after serving time for voyeurism. Victor, a former photographer, had a history of obsessive behavior, his last known address a mile from Jade's apartment. The police raided his home, finding a shrine to Jade, walls plastered with her photos, sketches of her face, and a journal detailing her every move, written in a feverish scrawl. But Victor had vanished, leaving behind a single rose, a mocking echo of his gifts. The investigation took a darker turn when Marianne uncovered Victor's connection to a shadowy online group, the Watchers, who traded in surveillance and psychological terror. The group's members, anonymous and scattered across the globe, competed to own their targets, documenting their lives with chilling precision. Jade, as it seemed, was Victor's masterpiece. Ethan's hacking revealed encrypted chats mentioning the Seattle Muse, a code name for Jade, and a planned final act to cement Victor's status in the group. Desperate to protect Jade, Steve and Marianne set a trap, using a decoy basket to lure Victor. They staged a delivery, broadcasting it on a hacked feed to draw him out. The plan worked. Victor appeared, but he was armed, his eyes wild with obsession. A tense standoff ensued, ending when Marianne disarmed him, her training overriding his desperation. Victor was arrested, but his confessions were cryptic, hinting at a larger network still watching Jade. Jade and Steve relocated to Portland, their cafe dream deferred. They changed their names, their lives a fragile reconstruction. But every few months, a single rose appears on their new doorstep, its petals a silent promise that the Watchers are still out there, their gaze unrelenting. Jade clings to her sketchbook, drawing to reclaim her voice. But the shadow of Victor's obsession lingers, a wound that never fully heals. Story 2. The Echoes of Fear. Dylan Carter, a 22-year-old music major in Portland, Oregon, lived in a cluttered apartment above a vinyl record store, where he worked part-time spinning rare LPs. His days were a symphony of guitar riffs, late-night study sessions, and hikes in the misty Columbia River Gorge. But on November 21, 2018, a voicemail from an unknown number shattered his rhythm, plunging him into a labyrinth of fear that would redefine his reality. Dylan was asleep when the call came at 1 a.m., his phone buried under sheet music. Weeks later, while clearing his inbox, he found the message. Expecting a wrong number, he pressed play, only to hear a young woman's voice, soft and teasing. "Dylan, I'm in your closet watching you sleep. Your blue and white bedspread is so cozy. Tell me, what's your favorite scary movie? Or are you the scary movie?" The message ended with a giggle and faint applause, as if she were performing for an unseen audience. The voice was unfamiliar, yet it knew his name in the exact colors of his bedspread, a detail so intimate it felt like a violation. Dylan tore open his closet, expecting a prankster, but found only his guitar and laundry. Replaying the message, he noticed background noises, a distant train whistle, the rustle of fabric, and a faint hum, like static from an old radio. His heart pounded. Was it a joke, a mistake, or something sinister? Dylan reported the voicemail to the police, but their response was dismissive. "You waited too long," they said. "Probably a college prank." Calling the number back led to a disconnected line, its automated voice mocking his efforts. Unable to shake the unease, Dylan confided in his best friend, Mia Alvarez, a journalism student with a knack for uncovering secrets. Mia, intrigued, suggested they investigate, suspecting a broader pattern. Their search led to local forums where others in Portland reported similar voicemails. Unknown callers, intimate details, and horror movie references, often quoting Scream. Some victims felt watched, others received cryptic texts. Mia theorized it was a coordinated campaign, perhaps a viral prank or a cult-like game. She and Dylan launched a blog, The Portland Whispers, to collect stories and identify the caller. The blog gained traction, drawing dozens of accounts, each more unsettling than the last. As weeks passed, Dylan's paranoia deepened. He installed a deadbolt, checked windows obsessively, and avoided his apartment at night. One evening, while closing the record store, he received another voicemail from a new unknown number. The same voice whispered, "Dylan, I saw you at the store tonight. That red flannel looks good on you. Why don't you play me a song?" The message ended with the sound of a guitar string snapping, a sound Dylan swore came from his own instrument, locked in his apartment. Terrified, Dylan moved in with Mia, and they intensified their investigation. Mia's research uncovered a defunct phone app, WhisperNet, popular in Portland's underground scene in 2018. The app allowed anonymous calls with voice modulation, often used for pranks, but was shut down after harassment complaints. Rumors suggested its code was circulating on the dark web, repurposed for darker purposes. Mia suspected someone was using a modified version to target victims, but they needed proof. Their breakthrough came when Dylan noticed a recurring sound in the voicemails, a distinctive train whistle. Cross-referencing it with Portland's freight schedules, they pinpointed a line near an abandoned warehouse district. Against Mia's caution, they explored the area, finding a derelict building covered in graffiti. Inside was a chilling setup: burner phones, a laptop, and a notebook listing names, addresses, and personal details, including Dylan's. The notebook referenced The Game, a point-based system for scaring victims, with Dylan marked as a high-value target. Before they could leave, they heard footsteps. Panicking, they fled, Dylan grabbing the notebook. They turned it over to the police, who raided the warehouse but found it empty, the equipment gone. The investigation stalled, but the voicemails continued, each one more personal. One message described Dylan's childhood fear of clowns, a secret he'd shared only with Mia. Another included a recording of his guitar, played in his apartment while he was away. Desperate, Mia contacted a hacker friend, Leo, who traced the voicemails to a server in Eastern Europe, linked to an underground network called the Echo Chamber. The group, Leo explained, thrived on psychological terror, using hacked data to manipulate victims. Dylan and Mia infiltrated an encrypted chat, posing as members, and learned the group was planning a grand finale in Portland, targeting multiple victims simultaneously. Dylan's name was at the top of the list. With Leo's help, they disrupted the server, leaking the group's plans to the FBI. A sting operation dismantled the Echo Chamber, arresting several members, but the Portland caller remained at large. The voicemail stopped, but Dylan's life was forever changed. He and Mia continued their blog, helping victims heal, but Dylan never played his guitar again, the memory of that snapped string a haunting echo. He checks his closet nightly, the whisperer's voice a shadow that never fades. Story 3, The Stalker's Shrine. Sasha Reynolds, a 21-year-old psychology major at Syracuse University, was the heart of her sorority house, a charming rental near campus where she lived with Lila, Emma, and Chloe. Their home, adorned with Polaroids and fairy lights, buzzed with laughter, study sessions, and impromptu dance parties. Sasha's passion for photography captured their joy, her lens a window to their dreams. But an October 2022 encounter would plunge her into a nightmare, testing her resilience and exposing the fragility of safety. It happened at a lively pub in downtown Syracuse, where Sasha and her friends celebrated Lila's 22nd birthday. A man approached, introducing himself as Jeremy Tate, a 30-year-old mechanic with a disarming smile and tales of restoring vintage Mustangs. His charm won Sasha over, and she gave him her number after a brief chat. A week later, they went on a date at a gastropub, its dim lighting masking Jeremy's unsettling edge. His questions were too personal, about her family, her fears, and his laughter felt forced. Sasha, uneasy, split the bill and declined a second date, hoping to sever ties. Jeremy, however, clung to her like a shadow. His texts flooded her phone, each one more fervent. "Sasha, you're incredible. Let's do this again. I can't stop thinking about you." Sasha, uncomfortable, hearted a message to avoid confrontation, but the deluge continued. When it became unbearable, she blocked his number, assuming he'd fade away. She was wrong. On December 14, 2022, at 2:15 a.m., Sasha's phone lit up with an anonymous call. Half asleep, she ignored it, but the voicemail that followed was a blade to her heart. Jeremy's voice, low and menacing, hissed, "Sasha, it's Jeremy. Why won't you answer me? That's pretty messed up. You shouldn't leave your windows open. I'm whispering so I don't wake you, but I left a surprise on your kitchen table." The message ended with the sound of a door shutting, unmistakable and chilling. Sasha's scream woke Chloe, who roused the others. The four girls huddled in the living room, listening to the voicemail in horror. In the kitchen, they found a stuffed turtle, Sasha's favorite animal, mentioned on their date, alongside a Christmas card signed, "Merry Christmas, Jeremy." The realization that Jeremy had been inside their home sent them into a frenzy. They called the police, who arrived with flashlights cutting through the darkness. The investigation revealed Jeremy's obsession. His texts, saved on Sasha's phone, showed an escalating fixation, culminating in the break-in. His apartment was a shrine to Sasha, walls covered in her photos, journal entries detailing her routines, and a lock of her hair stolen from her gym bag. Jeremy was arrested, charged with stalking and breaking and entering. He served a week in jail, paid fines, and was ordered to perform community service. But the leniency enraged Sasha's friends. Determined to understand Jeremy's motives, Sasha dug into his past with Lila's help, a law student with access to legal databases. They uncovered his history of harassment, including a restraining order from a former girlfriend in Rochester. Jeremy's social media revealed a fascination with true crime, his posts littered with cryptic references to "claiming what's mine." Sasha's photography professor, Dr. Helen Voss, a former profiler, warned that Jeremy's behavior suggested a dangerous personality disorder, unlikely to stop without intervention. The girls moved to a new house, installing a security system and enrolling in self-defense classes. Sasha joined a campus advocacy group, channeling her trauma into activism for stalking victims. But the nightmare wasn't over. One night, while editing photos, Sasha received a text from an unknown number. "Nice turtle, Sasha. Miss me?" It was a burner phone, untraceable, but unmistakably Jeremy's. The police reopened the case, but Jeremy had vanished, his apartment emptied overnight. Sasha's advocacy work led her to connect with other victims, forming a support network. She learned of similar cases in Syracuse, suggesting Jeremy might be part of a local ring of obsessive stalkers. With Dr. Voss's guidance, she collaborated with the FBI, providing evidence that linked Jeremy to a dark web forum where stalkers shared tactics. A raid dismantled the forum, but Jeremy remained a ghost. Sasha's photography became her refuge, her images now capturing resilience and defiance. She and her housemates rebuilt their bond, but the shadow of Jeremy's shrine lingered. Every creak in their new home made Sasha check her windows, her camera always nearby, ready to document the truth if he returned. The turtle sat on her shelf, a reminder of her survival, but also of the predator who might still be watching. Story 4. The Signal from Nowhere. Eleanor Brooks, a 78-year-old widow in Greeley, Colorado, lived a quiet life in her ranch-style home, its rose bushes a tribute to her late husband, Henry. Her failing vision forced her to rely on routine, but her spirit thrived on calls with her grandchildren and tending her garden. In the summer of 2015, however, a chilling phenomenon turned her sanctuary into a place of dread, unraveling a mystery that spanned decades and defied explanation. It began one evening when Eleanor picked up her landline to call her son Michael, only to hear a mechanical voice instead of the dial tone. "Connecting you. Please hold the line." The voice was followed by cryptic phrases. "Status alert, Con 4, Foxdraw 77, History Station to run." The final words, "Security tracing in progress," sent Eleanor into a panic. She hung up, her hands trembling, but the message persisted, its robotic tone haunting her. Convinced her phone was hacked, she fled to her neighbor, Helen, a retired nurse who found the line normal. Days later, the message returned, always between 7 p.m. and 7:15 p.m. Eleanor's fear grew, and she refused to stay home, sleeping at Helen's. Michael, alarmed, took leave from his job in Denver and arrived to investigate. He recorded the message, its references, status alert, Foxdraw, sounding like a transmission from a secret world. The phone worked normally outside those 15 minutes, and it never rang before the message, as if waiting for someone to listen. Michael's investigation deepened when the phone went dead for a day, unusable. The phone company claimed no issues, but Michael suspected a cover-up. He contacted Clara, a former telecom engineer, who analyzed the recordings. Clara noted the message's structure resembled Cold War-era military communications, possibly a crossed line from a nearby base. She traced the signal to a defunct relay tower on Greeley's outskirts, abandoned since the 1990s. Michael and Clara visited the tower, finding a rusted structure surrounded by weeds. In a nearby shack, they discovered outdated equipment, radios, wires, and a logbook with 2015 entries mentioning Operation Foxdraw and E. Brooks. Michael's blood ran cold. Was his mother targeted? The logbook hinted at a surveillance project, but the codes were indecipherable. Back home, the messages grew urgent. Security breach detected. Terminate connection. Michael posted the recordings online, sparking theories of government experiments or paranormal interference tied to Greeley's UFO history. A new message chilled them. "Eleanor, we see you." Michael unplugged the phone, but it rang despite being disconnected, playing the same words. He moved Eleanor to Denver, but the mystery deepened. Clara uncovered rumors of a 1960s project, Foxdraw, that used phone lines for psychological warfare, testing signals to induce fear. The project was scrapped, but its equipment was left in Greeley, possibly reactivated by rogue agents or hackers. Michael hired a private investigator, Tom Reyes, who traced the signal to a hidden bunker beneath the tower. Inside, they found modern servers linked to a dark web network, broadcasting the messages to multiple homes. The bunker was abandoned, but a laptop displayed Eleanor's name, marked Test Subject. Tom suspected a modern group was reviving Foxdraw, targeting vulnerable individuals for psychological experiments. The FBI raided the network, but the culprits vanished. Eleanor never returned to Greeley, her rose bushes left to wither. Michael continued investigating, uncovering a whistleblower who claimed Foxdraw's signals were designed to manipulate memories, explaining Eleanor's vivid nightmares of shadowy figures. The recordings remain a chilling enigma, their origin a secret buried in Cold War shadows. Eleanor keeps her phone unplugged, but sometimes in the quiet of night, she hears a faint hum, as if the signal is still searching for her. Story 5. The Ghost in the Wires. In Willow Creek, Ohio, the McCannon family lived in a grand Victorian home, its turrets and stained glass windows hiding a history of whispered tragedies. Braxton, an 18-year-old aspiring filmmaker, and his 16-year-old sister Kelly filled the house with teenage energy. Their mother, Diane, a librarian, grounding them with love. On October 29, 2009, a chilling series of events turned their home into a battleground between reality and the supernatural, unearthing secrets that would haunt them forever. It began when Diane's phone rang repeatedly from Kelly's number. Though Kelly was in the living room, her phone untouched in her bedroom. Diane confronted Kelly, who was baffled, her phone still in her room. As they spoke, another call came, the caller ID confirming it was Kelly's device. Diane's unease grew. This wasn't a prank. It was unnatural. Braxton, home from film club, joined them, his curiosity ignited. The final call left a voicemail, its contents beyond comprehension. It began with Kelly's radio playing a pop song, a familiar sound. Then the music cut off, replaced by a blood-curdling scream. Distorted, inhuman, laced with static. The sound morphed into a guttural moan, as if something were clawing through the phone, ending after 10 seconds. Braxton, a skeptic, tried to rationalize it. A hacked phone, a glitch. But the scream's intensity and the call's brevity defied logic. Kelly, terrified, refused to sleep in her room, convinced something watched her. Diane contacted the phone company, but they found no issues. The family researched the house's history, learning it was built in 1892 by Elias Thorne, a reclusive inventor who died mysteriously. Locals whispered of his experiments in the basement, attempting to contact the dead through early telephones. Braxton set up cameras in Kelly's room, capturing her phone lighting up, dialing Diane's number, and the scream filling the room while Kelly slept downstairs. Braxton shared the footage on a paranormal forum, sparking theories of electronic voice phenomena, EVP, or a ghostly presence tied to Thorne. The family hired Dr. Evelyn Morse, a paranormal investigator, who conducted an EMF sweep and recorded EVPs. In the basement, Evelyn captured a voice saying, "Elias, trapped, wires." The activity escalated. Kelly's phone sent text to Diane. "Help me, I'm still here." Braxton found Thorne's journal in the attic, detailing his attempts to trap spirits in telephone wires. The final entry read, "It worked. They're inside the lines. I am no longer alone." The calls intensified, Kelly's phone ringing while unplugged, the scream now whispering her name. Diane, desperate, contacted a local historian, Margaret Klein, who revealed Thorne's death was no accident. He was electrocuted during an experiment, his body found clutching a telephone. Margaret shared rumors of a cult, the Wirebound, who believed Thorne's spirit lived in the town's phone lines, seeking vessels to escape. Braxton, now a believer, organized a seance with Evelyn, hoping to confront Thorne's spirit. The session was chaotic. Lights flickered, the phone rang, and a voice hissed, "Kelly, join me." Kelly fainted, later claiming she dreamed of a man with burned hands. Diane, at her wits' end, sold the house, moving the family to Columbus. The calls stopped, but Kelly's nightmares persisted, depicting Thorne's experiments. Braxton began a documentary interviewing former Willow Creek residents who reported similar calls. He uncovered a pattern. Every decade, a family received haunted calls, each linked to Thorne's house. With Margaret's help, he found the Wirebound's descendants, a secretive group still worshiping Thorne's legacy. A raid by local police dismantled their hideout, but no arrests were made, the group vanishing into the shadows. Kelly kept her phone off, her dreams a battleground for Thorne's voice. Braxton's documentary, The Ghost in the Wires, premiered at a local festival, exposing Willow Creek's secrets. The house stood empty, its wires humming with whispers, a testament to the inventor who reached too far into the unknown, and the family who survived his legacy. Story 1. The Unseen Guest in South Carolina. The salty breeze of the South Carolina coast swept through the open windows of my modest beachside bungalow, a 3-bedroom haven I'd turned into an Airbnb side hustle. It was a charming little place, with weathered wood floors and a wraparound porch that caught the sunrise just right. I lived most of the year in Massachusetts, where the winters bit like a scorned lover. But this house was my escape, my slice of paradise. When I wasn't using it, I rented it out to strangers seeking a taste of coastal serenity. The master bedroom, though, was my sanctuary, locked tight with a deadbolt and a regular lock, a fortress for my clothes, books, and the odd trinket I didn't want to haul back and forth. I wasn't paranoid, just practical. Nobody was getting in there unless they brought an axe or a crowbar. It was early spring, the kind of chilly March day in Massachusetts that makes your bones ache for warmth. I decided to drive down to the bungalow for a week, craving the solitude and the chance to work remotely by the ocean. The current renter, a guy named Ramon, was set to check out the day I arrived. He'd booked the place for himself and his fiancée, or so he'd said in our Airbnb messages. He seemed polite enough, asking for restaurant recommendations and sharing just enough details to make me trust him. I preferred renting to couples or small groups of women. Less chance of a frat party disaster. Young guys, in my experience, were a gamble, more likely to leave beer cans and broken furniture in their wake. Since I was heading down right after Ramon's checkout, I skipped the usual cleaning service. The cost was baked into the rental price, but I figured I'd pocket the cash and tidy up myself. It was a 16-hour drive from Massachusetts, a marathon I started at dawn with a thermos of coffee and a playlist of classic rock to keep me sane. By the time I rolled into the gravel driveway of the bungalow, it was 10 p.m., and I was running on fumes. The night was thick with the hum of cicadas, the air heavy with salt and pine. I unlocked the front door, grabbed my duffel bag from the car, and shuffled straight to the master bedroom. I didn't bother checking the house for messes or stray belongings. Exhaustion had me in a chokehold. I fumbled with the keys, undid the deadbolt, and collapsed onto the bed without even kicking off my shoes. The familiar creak of the mattress was the last thing I heard before I passed out. Sleep didn't last long. I jolted awake in the pitch-black room, my heart pounding like I'd just run a sprint. The bedside clock glowed 11:30 p.m. I'd been out for barely an hour. Something had woken me, though I couldn't place it. A noise? A feeling? I grabbed my phone, the screen's blue light stinging my eyes as I checked for messages. Nothing. I flicked on the bedside lamp, casting a warm glow over the room. Everything looked as I'd left it. My suitcase by the door, my jacket slung over a chair. But the air felt wrong, heavy, like someone was watching. I got up, my bare feet cold against the hardwood, and stepped into the living room. The house was silent, save for the distant crash of waves. I scanned the space, half expecting to find a spilled drink or a forgotten sock from Ramon's stay. Nothing. The pillows were fluffed, the kitchen counters spotless. It was almost too clean, like the place had been scrubbed to erase any trace of its occupants. I checked the guest bedrooms next. The first had a bed with slightly rumpled covers, a sign someone had slept there. The second room with its twin beds was untouched, the comforters pristine. Ramon and his fiancée must have shared the one bed, I figured. Still, the emptiness of the house gnawed at me. Curiosity pulled me to the front porch camera, a little security measure I'd installed but rarely checked. I opened the app on my phone, scrolling through the motion history. 3 days ago, it had caught a man entering via the code lock, a tall figure in a hoodie, his face obscured by the angle. No woman with him, just him. My stomach twisted. Ramon had said he was with his fiancée, but the footage showed only one person. I scrubbed through the rest of the clips from his arrival to my own just hours ago. Nothing else. No one had left. No one had entered. Just him, and now me. A chill crawled up my spine. I messaged Ramon on the Airbnb app, my fingers trembling as I typed, "Hey, everything okay with your checkout?" It was late, but I didn't care. I needed answers. While I waited for a reply, I started searching the house again, more thoroughly this time. I checked under the beds, my knees scraping the floor as I peered into the shadows. Nothing. I flung open the closets, my pulse racing with every creak of the hinges. Empty. The second guest bedroom was the same. Neat, untouched, the closets bare. I sat on one of the twin beds, staring at my phone, willing Ramon to respond. The house was too quiet, the kind of quiet that presses against your eardrums. Then I heard it. A soft click from the master bedroom, like a door easing shut. Not a slam, not a creak, just a deliberate human sound. My breath caught in my throat. I crept into the living room, my eyes locked on the master bedroom door. The light was still on, a thin sliver spilling from the crack at the bottom. "Ramon?" I called, my voice shaking. "Are you still here?" No answer. I dropped to my knees, my palms sweating as I pressed my cheek to the floor to peer under the door. My heart stopped. There, just a few feet away, were two bare feet, pale, unmoving, planted firmly on the hardwood. I scrambled backward, my mind screaming. Someone was in my room, my locked room. Panic took over. I stumbled to the kitchen, yanking open the drawer where I kept the knives. My hand closed around empty air. The big carving knife was gone. My vision blurred with fear. I didn't think, didn't wait. I grabbed my keys and bolted out the front door, the gravel biting my feet as I sprinted to my car. I locked myself inside and dialed 911, my voice barely coherent as I explained. "Someone's in my house. They're in my bedroom. I saw them." The police arrived 20 minutes later, 2 officers with flashlights and stern expressions. I stayed outside, my breath fogging in the cool night air, as they entered the house. When they emerged, they weren't alone. Ramon was with them, his hands in his pockets, his face calm. He was shorter than I'd imagined, with a faint Portuguese accent and a disarming smile. "I just needed one more night," he said, as if it were the most reasonable thing in the world. "I didn't mean to scare you." He denied taking the knife, and sure enough, the officers found it back in the drawer, gleaming like it had never been touched. They questioned him outside while another officer spoke to me inside, his tone frustratingly dismissive. "Look, he didn't break any laws by staying an extra night. You should take it up with Airbnb." I was floored. This man had hidden in my locked bedroom, possibly armed, and they were letting him walk. After half an hour of back and forth, they sent Ramon on his way, his backpack slung over one shoulder as he disappeared into the night. I changed the lock code immediately, my hands shaking as I punched in the new numbers. I contacted Airbnb, detailing the nightmare. They banned Ramon from the platform and apologized profusely, but there was no refund for the extra day he'd squatted in my home. It felt like a slap in the face. I barely slept that week, jumping at every creak of the house. The bungalow, once my sanctuary, now felt like a stranger's domain. I kept the carving knife on my nightstand just in case, and every night I checked the locks twice. Story 2. The Shadow in the Virginia Woods. At 26, I was drowning in a life that felt like quicksand. Living with my parents in a cookie-cutter suburban neighborhood was suffocating. My dead-end job at a call center chipped away at my soul, and my relationship with my girlfriend, Sarah, was teetering on the edge of collapse. We fought over everything: money, time, trust. My mom and I were barely speaking, our arguments leaving a bitter aftertaste that lingered for days. I needed an escape, a reset, something to pull me out of the spiral. So I did what any desperate millennial would do. I scrolled through Airbnb, searching for a cheap getaway. I found it in Troutdale, Virginia, a one-bedroom cabin tucked away in the Blue Ridge Mountains. The listing promised solitude, with photos of a cozy wooden retreat surrounded by towering pines and vibrant fall foliage. It was a 2.5-hour drive from home, far enough to feel like another world. The price was a steal, and the reviews glowed with words like peaceful and serene. I booked it for a weekend, telling my parents I needed space. My mom, clearly relieved to have me out of the house, practically pushed me out the door. Sarah, on the other hand, was skeptical. "You're going to a random cabin alone?" she asked, her eyes narrowing. "What's that about?" I didn't have a good answer. I just knew I needed to go. Friday morning, I packed a backpack with clothes, toiletries, my laptop, and a couple of books, then hit the road. The drive was a blur of rolling hills and golden leaves, the kind of scenery that makes you believe in second chances. Troutdale was as quiet as promised, a sleepy hamlet where the loudest sound was the crunch of gravel under my tires. My GPS led me to a narrow dirt road, flanked by dense forest. The cabin sat atop a small hill, accessible only by cutting through a gap in the trees. I followed the owner's instructions, easing my car onto the grass and up the incline. The cabin was even better in person, compact but inviting, with a sloped roof and a porch that overlooked the woods. I stepped out, breathing in the crisp, earthy air, and felt a weight lift from my chest. This was exactly what I needed. The owner had left a key under a flower pot, and I let myself in. The interior was warm and rustic, with exposed beams, a stone fireplace, and a small kitchen stocked with basic supplies. A ladder led to a loft bedroom, where a circular window above the bed framed the treetops like a painting. I dropped my bag and decided to explore the area, driving 5 minutes to a trailhead the owner had recommended. The hike was invigorating, the forest alive with the rustle of leaves and the distant call of a hawk. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. On the drive back, I noticed 2 men walking along the gravel road. They were rough-looking, with weathered jackets and unshaven faces, their eyes tracking my car as I passed. I waved, forcing a smile, but they didn't return the gesture. Instead, they stopped dead in their tracks, staring at me with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. I told myself they were just locals, maybe annoyed at an outsider invading their turf. But their gaze lingered in my mind, cold and unyielding. Back at the cabin, I lit a fire and settled into the living room with a book, the crackle of the flames soothing my nerves. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. I was halfway through a chapter when my stomach growled, reminding me I hadn't eaten since breakfast. I grabbed my keys, planning to drive to the nearest Walmart for supplies, but as I stepped onto the porch, I froze. Down the hill near the tree line, 2 figures darted into the woods. They moved fast, almost in sync, as if startled by my presence. My heart raced. Were those the guys from the road? I couldn't be sure, but the coincidence felt wrong. I hesitated, then grabbed my laptop and backpack, unwilling to leave them behind. On the drive to Walmart, I messaged the owner, Describing the men I'd seen, his reply was quick. "Nothing to worry about. Lots of teens wander around here. Probably just kids." I wanted to believe him, but the knot in my stomach wouldn't loosen. The Walmart was a 20-minute drive, the only store in the area. I stocked up on essentials: bread, deli meat, fruit, granola bars, and a few frozen dinners, then headed back to the cabin. By the time I returned, night had swallowed the landscape. The gravel road was a tunnel of darkness, my headlights the only illumination. The cabin felt harder to find, its silhouette blending into the trees. I parked, grabbed my groceries, and used my phone's flashlight to navigate the path to the door. The woods were eerily silent, the kind of quiet that amplifies every snap of a twig. I locked the door behind me, my pulse still racing, and ate a quick sandwich before returning to my book by the fire. Then the lights went out. One moment, the room was bathed in a soft glow. The next, it was plunged into darkness, save for the flickering fire. I tried the light switch, the microwave, anything electric. Nothing worked. My phone had a signal, so I messaged the owner again. His response was almost instant. "Check the breaker box outside by the telephone pole at the back of the house." I stared at the message, my skin prickling. Outside, in the pitch-black woods, after seeing those men? No way. I wasn't that reckless. I sat frozen, the fire casting long shadows across the room. That's when I heard it, a faint creak from the floorboards coming from the corner by the bathroom door. My eyes snapped to the darkness, and there, illuminated only by the fire's glow, was a figure, tall, looming, its face hidden in shadow. My heart slammed against my ribs. "Stay calm," a voice said, low and gravelly, like it had been scraped from the bottom of a well. "Give me everything you've got." I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My voice came out as a whimper. I just have my laptop, some clothes." The figure stepped closer, still shrouded in darkness. "Empty your wallet, now." I fumbled for my wallet, pulling out the $60 in cash and tossing it onto the coffee table. He didn't move, just watched. "Go to the kitchen," he said. "Stay there." I obeyed, my legs shaking as I backed into the small kitchen. Moments later, I heard the front door creak open and slam shut. I waited, counting my breaths, before creeping back to the living room. My laptop, backpack, and cash were gone. I grabbed my phone and called 911, my voice barely above a whisper as I reported the robbery. The police arrived 20 minutes later, a single officer with a flashlight and a notepad. I described the two men from the road, convinced they were involved, but the officer's response was maddeningly vague. "We'll keep an eye out," he said, as if I'd reported a missing cat. I messaged the owner, explaining everything. He expressed sympathy but refused a refund, claiming the incident wasn't his fault. I left the next morning, the cabin's charm replaced by a lingering sense of violation. The trip, meant to be a balm for my stress, had become a nightmare. My laptop was replaceable, the cash insignificant, but the fear, that stayed with me. And a small, nagging part of me couldn't shake the thought that the owner knew more than he let on. How else could someone have gotten inside a locked cabin in the middle of nowhere? Story 3. The Thing in the White Mountains. The summer after high school graduation was a golden blur, a fleeting moment of freedom before the real world came knocking. My friends and I, Alexis, Rob, his girlfriend Stephanie, Kelly, and me, decided to celebrate in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, a rugged paradise just 2 hours from our hometown. We piled into Alexis's Hyundai Accent, a cramped sedan that groaned under the weight of 5 teenagers and our duffel bags. The drive was stunning, with rolling hills giving way to jagged peaks and dense forests. We were headed to an Airbnb in Carroll, a 3-bedroom cabin nestled in the heart of the White Mountains National Forest. The listing promised a hot tub, a spacious deck, and easy access to hiking trails. It was the perfect spot for a weekend of laughter, booze, and stargazing. The cabin was everything we'd hoped for, rustic but comfortable, with knotty pine walls and a stone fireplace that begged to be lit. The only oddity was a dilapidated shed next to the house, its sagging roof and peeling paint, a stark contrast to the well-kept cabin. Alexis, always the jokester, pointed at it and said, "Bet some creepy old hermit lives in there. That's why this place was so cheap." We laughed, brushing it off as we unpacked. I'd been crushing on Alexis for months, and when she suggested we share the pull-out couch in the living room, claiming the third bedroom, with its 2 exterior doors and view of the shed, gave her the creeps, I didn't argue. The idea of sleeping next to her, even platonically, was enough to make my heart race. The first night was blissful. We soaked in the hot tub, tucked away in the garage turned rec room, sipping cheap vodka and swapping stories about high school. Stephanie, who just had stitches from a minor surgery, perched on the edge of the tub, her feet dangling in the water. Rob teased me about how close Alexis was sitting, his grin wide as he winked from across the bubbles. Kelly, quieter than usual, slipped away to change, but the rest of us stayed up late, planning a day of hiking to Mount Washington in the Flume Gorge. When Alexis and I finally crawled onto the pull-out couch, we watched Rick and Morty on my laptop until 2 a.m., then stepped onto the deck for some stargazing. Kelly joined us and we sat in awe. The sky a dazzling tapestry of purple and blue, stars so bright they felt close enough to touch. Then we heard it, a crunch in the darkness just beyond the deck. Kelly froze, her finger to her lips. "You hear that?" she whispered. I strained my ears, catching the faint sound of footsteps on leaves. "Probably a raccoon," I said, trying to sound confident. But the steps grew heavier, deliberate, like something big was moving toward us. Alexis's eyes darted to the shed, her face pale in the starlight. Fear gripped me, and I ushered the girls inside, locking every door. "It's just an animal," I said, more to myself than to them. "Maybe a deer." They nodded, but the tension lingered. We went to bed, the incident fading into the haze of exhaustion. The next day was a whirlwind of adventure. We hiked for hours, our legs burning as we climbed rocky trails and marveled at waterfalls. The shed incident was all but forgotten, except by Alexis, who seemed quieter than usual. When we returned to the cabin, she suggested exploring the shed, her tone half curious, half defiant. "It's daylight," she said. "What's the worst that could happen?" I didn't want to go. Something about that shit felt wrong, but I couldn't let her think I was scared. We approached it cautiously, the screen door creaking as we stepped inside. The first room was cluttered with junk, a rickety rocking chair, a rusted shovel, a pile of moldy cardboard. The air was thick with dust and the faint smell of cigarette smoke. A second door, its brass knob dented and tarnished, led to another room. Alexis pushed it open, revealing a dirt floor, grimy windows, and scattered trash. "This place is gross," she muttered, but her eyes lingered on the shadows as if expecting something to move. We rejoined the others who were starting a fire out back. The evening was filled with laughter and stories, the fire's warmth chasing away the day's unease. I turned off the floodlight to let the fire's glow take center stage, the darkness closing in around us. Then it happened again, the crunching, faster this time, coming from the tree line. Before we could react, a blinding green flash lit up the backyard, like a camera flash on steroids. Stephanie screamed, bolting for the house. A blood-curdling cry followed, a sound that wasn't animal or human, a wail that froze my blood. I yelled for everyone to get inside, my voice cracking. In the chaos, I knocked over Kelly, who was still processing what was happening. Rob was already at the door, clutching a can of bear spray, while I helped Alexis grab our food, desperate to avoid attracting whatever was out there. Inside, we locked the doors and huddled in the living room, our breaths ragged. Stephanie was shaking, her eyes wide. "It was a man," she whispered, "hunched over, with a cloak or something draped over him." Rob and I exchanged a glance, my hand tightening around the Bowie knife I'd pulled from my bag. We called the police, who arrived 30 minutes later. The officer searched the property, his flashlight cutting through the darkness, but found nothing. He chalked the green flash up to lightning hitting a power line and suggested the cry was a fisher cat, a local animal known for its eerie screams. We didn't buy it. Stephanie's description was too vivid, too human. We didn't stay another night. The paranoia was unbearable, the sense that something, or someone, was watching us from the woods too real. We packed up at dawn, the cabin's charm tainted by fear. As we drove away, I glanced at the shed, its sagging frame somehow more menacing in the morning light. We haven't been back to the White Mountains since. Whatever was out there, it wasn't a raccoon or a fisher cat. And deep down, I know it's still waiting, lurking in the shadows of those endless woods.